You were talking about something, and if you want, you can go on.
What a wonderful interviewer you are, eh? Yes, we are talking about how to say, defeat and victory. So in any conflict, even at home, forget about international war or war between two nations or two communities, two races, two villages. What happens is, when we get into a conflict, we are totally confused. Everybody find a way how to win over it, because everybody is very much aware about the defeat, the consequences of the defeat. Defeat is not only emotionally, psychologically, putting you down, but also the damage that you have to pay for it because you got defeated is also very huge and sometimes very extremely brutal and cruel. And that's another thing. The thing is, we human beings, as long as we are with our emotion and ego, nobody wants to be belittled in front of another one.
Belittle, what does it mean?
Becoming small, becoming low. Somebody is high, I'm low, like that kind of feeling.
Okay.
That also, common everyday life, it's not working. Even it doesn't work with the children. When children are 5, 6, already they have developed their personality. And if one child humiliates the other one immediately retorts. And there are also children, those who bully other children. So this very thing is coming from the past of competitive fear. And we fight because we both have fear. So when we are in the grip of fear, aggression is very powerful, both sides. We go very, very brutal, cruel and aggressive, ruthless totally, so that we can defeat the other one. Because it is not the defeat alone is important for them. Victory also brings lots of benefit, psychological, emotional. You can dictate your ideas to them, they have to accept it. So because of fear of defeat is very larger than even the conquering someone or having a victory over someone. So this fear also lead to many war where both parties never surrender. For example, if you look at the war in Vietnam in recent time, although Americans were already defeated long ago, they could not take on the Vietnamese. But it was hard for every successive president in America to declare that we withdraw. They could not. It took long, long years. The war continued so many years. If you look at the history of Europe, in the Roman time, following other time, there was always a war. And some war continued even 50 years, 100 years. The popular war, I think recently fought between England and France was the 7-year war. Before that, I heard about some war they had between 100 years war or something like that. I don't know what exactly it was. So, war is just coming from this little thing we call anger. What is the largest and the biggest manifestation of it? If you take a little fighting between husband and wife, what happens? There also. Both husband and wife, nobody wants to go down. And only they go down when one of them feels that I want this woman or I want this man. I don't want to live without him or without her. As long as all the fights will somehow compromised. But if this feeling is gone, it will break up immediately. And it leads to killing, murder, suicide, many, going to the court, going to the police, harassing each other. It is never-ending story. So because of this unhappiness, and the biggest unhappiness is this aggression, because of the ego, memory, all these things that we have, we crystallize our fear into anger, to aggression, to ruthlessness, to brutality, to cruelty. All this is a part of it. It just flows in and it never stops. But any time you want to tell the other one, please sit down, you don't talk like this, nobody wants to listen. It only listen when the feeling is still strong, that I want this man or I want this woman. Similarly, in the international field also, they think, okay, whether we want to make friendship with this because we'll get this or get that, depending on what the bargain behind. They surrender or they don't. Because I have seen myself, because I am very little one that time, there was a war between India and Pakistan, which created a new country in the world map called Bangladesh. What happened is there was an election in Pakistan, and Pakistan was divided in two parts. One is called West Pakistan, another is called East Pakistan. There's a large distance between them, something 2,500 kilometers, something like that. I don't remember exactly. And in this election, the party belonged to the East Pakistan. That party won the election. They have largest majority in the parliament. And the then military junta, they didn't want to transfer the power to this man and this political group called Army League. And then what happened is they started to send army to East Pakistan because Pakistan army and the administration, politics, everything is controlled by the less majority West Pakistan and governed by a particular kind of race, or you can say community. Mostly they are Punjabi Muslims. Whereas these people living in the East Pakistan were speaking another language which is called Bengali. They are more fish eaters. Their ways and everything a little bit different than to the people in the West Pakistan. They speak more Urdu, they speak more Hindi, they speak, they eat more meat like lamb and others. These people eat more fish. So there was somewhat a kind of cultural distinction which created a national identity for the East Pakistan. And East Pakistan identity created this, the Army League party joined in protest against the West Pakistan control, and then they sent the army there, and they started to kill the people. And overnight, India began to receive thousands and thousands and millions of refugees coming in. And that time, Indian situation is very bad. People used to die out without food in India, and having so many people quickly, not easy for them to manage them. It was disturbing the whole administration there. People are everywhere, there is no food for them, there is no care for them. So India was panicked. How to control? They went around, I don't know exactly what happened behind, perhaps they didn't get enough response and support from the international groups to take care of the refugee, to manage to stop this, civil war inside East Pakistan. So finally, seeing the situation, perhaps all the political parties and the woman prime minister at that time, Indira Gandhi, they sit down and decide that there is no other choice but we have to intervene in. There is no choice. And also Pakistan has created some problem, they say, I don't know what they created. And to safeguard the India's interest, and there was a war. And in this war, what happened is, even when Pakistanis came to know that they are facing total defeat, they didn't want to surrender easily. Indian army sent messages to the leaders, surrender now. So they have to go totally into Dhaka, seize everything, taken over, still they are not surrendering. And India was afraid because India didn't want to make it international, war zone. India has a bad experience in other places. So they immediately, the Russians send 9th Fleet, the Americans send the 7th Fleet to the Bay of Bengal So many big things happened. Lots of people got killed. Lots of many things story happened. And finally, only when the total possibility to continue the war is finished, the Pakistan army surrendered. But when they surrendered, the chief of the army staff, General Niaz, I remember his name even today, he was crying like a baby in front of the international media to surrender. So surrender is not an easy joke. You need a high discipline to surrender, real discipline. And you have to have a real human heart. You see the situation before and you act on it. So, but when you are in this kind of anger and ego and identity, that I'm this, I'm that, I'm American, I'm Indian, I'm Chinese, I have to do this and that. You don't see the whole globe as a part of you. You see only yourself. And then it is very difficult to surrender. Same thing happens in the micro state in the family, between the friends, between the villages, between the communities, between all these things happens. So the point is, unless until we know how to sublimate our own ego, unless we don't know how to overcome our own anger, which acts in every difficult situation, in adverse situation, in hard situations, where you feel decimated, you feel totally finished, you have nothing in this world. You are no more nobody. You're totally lost and you feel totally vanquished, totally gone. So that is not going to happen. So before that, that's why I say, if you have more human sensitivity, when I say human, I spell it like this, Humane, sensitivity. It is always hard to how to say, surrender or accept the defeat. Not easy. So throughout the human history, you must have seen this. The people decide, the people in the top, they decide it. It's hard for them to do that way. And we see in the families also the similar situation. And every time you must have heard one country got divided and one language group is fighting with another language group, one race is fighting another race. So this is continuous. It's all because of global confusion inside our mind. We are not born with the confusion. We didn't born with the contradictions. We didn't born with the energy to create conflict. But what happens when we trapped by our ego, we feel we are somewhat so different, so distinct, so powerful, so great that we cannot accept each other. And that behind what is there? Lack of unconditional love. I love my country, I love my community, I love my friends, but others no. This, as long as we have the sense of others with other human beings, so long confusion, contradiction, conflict, terror, war will continue, both in micro state and also in macro state. And that's the reason I used to say, the war is made in the bedroom. The tension that we have with husband and wife or the children at home, all this slowly grows into us. Then when it affects our identity, our interest, our profit or anything, we immediately follow the process of, pursue defeating the other one by force. Like he's not accepting us, he's not giving what I want, I am so powerful, I'll just take by force. So this is also another imposition. It's a direct imposition of a group of people on another group of people. And nobody wants to make it. As you say that you heard that during the Second World War, the Americans told that they have to surrender, they didn't accept, they sent some message. Am I right? You tell this word in Japan and they didn't understand what the meaning of it. So what happens in this kind of situation, very hard for human ego to accept defeat. That's why even we finish ourselves but we continue. So the best way to bring peace in the world is we should all try to find a way how to remain real human. If a real human sense will come, it's very easy to see each other's problem and then we can solve it better. Otherwise, it will never go from the human society. It requires a huge amount of optimism. It requires huge amount of sharing with each other. It requires huge amount of also giving respect to each other. We respect somebody when we need something. When we don't need, suppose you are doing the interview with me, maybe I'm a bit selfish or he is going to promote my image, which I don't have. Then I'm happy, I tolerate you, you ask me questions. Suppose another time will come for something else, which serves your interest, I have no interest in it, I may not listen to you. I'm not personalizing myself, I'm saying this is how we behave. We are very much, interest oriented. Always want to have some profit or benefit or whatever way. Even just some putting down somebody also we feel good. So this is a kind of thing we take from the fear against each other. I call it mutual fear, and that creates this enmity. Actually, for me, there is no enemy anywhere. But if you get into your ego and aggression and anger, you'll always find many enemies. Quickly manufacture in your mind, and when you see them, they're already your enemy. Whether they don't know even. Many times, many people don't know that you are already considering them enemy. And they get trapped and killed and many things happen because the other guy didn't know that how much hatred you already developed against him. So this anger, when become more solidified, it is called hatred. And this anger, this hatred, and all this has one good cure. That when you have all inclusive, all embracing love, and you are part of it. But if you have a love only for your own interest, it will always create confusion, conflict, and contradiction. There's no other way. There's no other way. It's very hard. Because you value your emotion, I value my emotion, you value your judgment, I value my judgment, you protect your interest, I protect my interest. So then nobody can move. And then it results in brutal force is applied. And it never helped mankind. All the time, brutal force is applied. It didn't bring lasting peace anywhere. Maybe for a while, everything will be a bit silent, and after some time it comes back. Again comes back, again comes back. Never-ending story. You see, since I was born in this world and became a little sensible to know things, what is happening around, I never had. There was one day even in this world where there is war and terror is stopped. Violence is stopped one day. I never had so far. You heard about it? Do you know anywhere? That one day passing there is no war, no violence, no terror. Do you know something?
No.
So that's what we are. But to stop it, very easy, very simple. Very simple. Break this selfish cocoon we all put on ourselves. Rest will be very easy. But we cannot do that. God knows why. I have no idea. Who knows why all this happens? Why we cannot take out that cocoon? We are just human beings. We are here on this planet, sharing the same planet, breathing the same air, drinking the same water coming from the sky. Understand? And we have the same biological things with us. Why we cannot remain happy together? But when you talk to any individual, any politician, any army man, they always say, any religious person, man from the religions, they'll say, we love to live together. That love will not work Because that means I love my way of peace. Nobody wants the real global universal peace. Everybody wants either Chinese want their peace, their own interest of peace. Russians want their own interest of peace. Americans want their interest of peace. India wants their peace of interest. It's never they're going to get to, really have lasting things. Everybody has to merge into something. Like a river merges in the ocean. And once they merge, they don't have the identity anymore. We call this rain is flowing to Mediterranean, we say rain is flowing to Atlantic. And once they are in the sea, we don't see the river anymore. But all this water is also coming from the river. We don't see that. So unless we merge and submerge our identity into a global, human community, so long we'll continue to fight. And all fight comes from the confusion. So that's where we always get engaged. And also war, terror, violence comes not only from the anger and aggression, but also from greed, from attachment, from many things. And identity is a big thing behind. Business is another big thing. Lots of businessmen promote war to get lots of things out of it. Not only the whatever philosophical background they have or whatever, but also it is a very lucrative business. It brings lots of money. By selling arms, ammunition, providing volunteers, providing this, providing that, providing support, they get lots of money out of it. So war is not one thing, but it has one good cure. There are many, many causes for war, for conflict, but it has one good cure. Extend your unconditional love for everybody, then there will be no war whatsoever. Then this human being will be a real human being, and he will consider himself as a global citizen instead of considering this and that. Although we live in our village, we like our village, we like our country, that's not a problem. But when it narrowed down and become, a kind of protected, we try to protect it, then the other one also try to protect their identity, their way, their interest. So then we engaged in a war, and it's so addictive, so blinding, difficult to see through. Even people know, but they cannot stop. They feel so helpless. Even the victors also. Like I said, they gave the example of Vietnam War. Americans, they are big power, big things. They know they could not manage it. But it took many, many presidents and many years to make just a decision for the withdrawal. Because ego of the nation is involved. Americans don't want to appear they are defeated. For that reason, it continued so many years for no reason. So that's, how to say, the very subject is very vast. We have to discuss a lot about it. And then we understand how it is. We can have a workshop or we can have a seminar to understand how we develop conflict, how we love confusion, how we support contradictions, all this. How even some opinions can create war. Some philosophy is made to understand life better and live the life. How can the philosophy create war? Like communist and capitalist philosophy created war.
Sorry?
Communism and capitalism connected to war. Then you must have heard about different religious groups. They have a war. Everybody talking about goodness, everybody talking about happiness, everybody wants to make the human society better, right? These words everybody use. But if you look at their history, it is nothing but murder and bloodshed. If you ask them, they'll always put the responsibility on others. Somehow they'll escape from it. And you never hear that any big guys in these groups calling upon the government or the worrying group or something to stop. They never call the people to, okay, even the government is not going, okay, I ask all the people following this kind of my religion, my ways, so withdraw from it. They are also into the same thing. So this continues. I'm not blaming one or the other. I am just trying to give a picture how our mind, both in individual and as well as in collective state, works. Anger is also kind of a hypnosis. It's a kind of drug. As long as this anger and hatred in you, you don't see anything. And another part of the anger, and another part of the conflicting, things like violence or terror, war, is you cannot be angry on somebody unless you are already irritated, unless you are already in anger. So you have to be the first victim of the hatred, of the anger, before you start hating or having your anger against somebody. Then this anger and hatred, God knows why, enter into big violence. Because one wants to impose by force his will on the other one. And the two ego makes both sides right. The both sides feels they're right. And this sense of righteousness creates the war. Same way, sense of truth also creates war. So, to escape from all these tiny emotional things in our brain, until we have the global war, national war in the villages or in the cities or between languages, between races, between whatever, is very easy to cure this disease, this sickness, this malady. Is very easy. The one simple thing, feel the love universal. Everything will disappear. Nobody is there whom we can call others. They are all part of the same globe. They are part of us. They are our brothers and sisters. They are we. Just imagine the food you are eating. Many of the food that I eat here are imported from other countries. Am I right? But did you produce them? You don't. The wind you are breathing, the rain you are getting is not coming only from one country. It is a world phenomenon. Season changes, season comes this way. The wind comes thousands of kilometers. Am I right? When you hear about hurricane, cyclone, tornado, they pass through thousands of kilometers. Even you will be surprised to know this red sand from the Sahara. You understand? The red sand from the Sahara comes to not only Europe. Europe is near somehow, but even it reaches some part of America, Caribbean places. So we are one. The day we'll feel that I'm one with everybody, then we cannot make any violence, any conflict, any terror, any war. The moment we take in this idea that I'm better than the other one, I am right, then finished. War will continue. Conflict will continue at home. Divorce will always happen. Common every day. It's happening. Child will go without father, without mother. They'll have money, they'll have technology, they'll have everything. And this child, what he will learn in life? Conflict, tension, fear, neglect, deprivation, all this. And his eyes will look at the world in a completely different way. He wants to take revenge. He wants to betray everybody because he has been betrayed in his childhood. He has been, somebody's revenge made him orphan. Father or mother, it doesn't matter who made it. But he is in a psychosis of revenge. He's put down. People ask, where is your father? No, my father doesn't live with my mother. Where is your mother? Oh no, she's not here. I go to see her on time. So you make them mentally sick from childhood. And what do you expect from them? If they go tomorrow become drug addict, tomorrow they join in some cruel groups of killing, murder, or whatever, how can you blame them? How can you blame them? Because we planted this seed of betrayal, seed of revenge, seed of all this. We planted in their heart. We made them like that. Where are the grandparents? Where they go? Where are the great-grandparents? Where are the cousins? Where are the uncles? Where are the aunties? Where they go? Where they are? The life is only to eat and sleep and consume and die. And this is human life. I think in a subhuman state is much better. Animals living sometimes better way. So we didn't learn anything. We have school, we have education. It doesn't help. In right moment, we are apart from each other. What about the education? The education taught you to be always go around and divorce people, one another. Don't trust anyone. What kind of education it is? Don't have self-confidence in you. Don't love for yourself and others. What the education is? Where they are? If it doesn't help me in my daily living, I don't consider it an education. I consider it a waste of energy and time to get some information. It's just information. Every day, what is happening in our world? What is happening in our family? What is happening in every city? People even don't know somebody dying. People die after many months and days. They get the dead body and lying in the rooms. Why? Who is spending money to make this old age home? Taxpayers' money or charity money? Means it's all from the people. Who is that people contributing money for that? Why these people cannot take care of their old people? They stay with them. They get love, they love care, they get good food, good attention. If there is some critical situation, you can call a nurse or doctor, they can take care. Or a few days they can go to hospital, come back. So this very, very deprivation creates confusion, contradiction, conflict, terror and war. Both way, small way, big way, everywhere. And it will continue that way. Because we are so selfish. We are so selfish that we don't have feeling for anything, my interest. I like this, I have to do it. Who cares? My like will destroy everybody else. Doesn't matter. I divorce. I never care about the child. Because I don't like this woman anymore. I don't like this man anymore. But what else you'll do? Tomorrow you'll meet another man, another woman. These people are also human, like you. Why you do that? At what cost you do it? Every time you break, it creates a big wound in your heart, in your psychology, in your emotion. It does. Look at the people, those who divorce again and again. How they look, how they feel. Dead, no energy, no smile. Why we do that? Because we love to live in darkness. We love to live in confusion. We love to live in the cocoon of our selfishness. We don't want to transcend it. We don't want to go out of it. Then we continue this all the time. Who cares what happens? And then it multiplies every time. That's why we don't have peace at family. We don't have peace internationally. Already the same game going on. And never ending. So who is going to end? You are going to end it?